Today, we're playing one of the tiny maps shipping with the base game, Combat Mission Shark Force 2. It's called Abu Susah, and according to the briefing, the action takes place in an area between Jordan and Turkey called Dayr as Zawr. The situation sees Alpha Company, Stryker Brigade Combat Team, moving north and coming up against a small populated area during the early morning in the hours of June 21st. The mission revolves around navigating through this occupied area. The briefing stipulates road junction, the M20, with the village of Abu Susah in the center. We also have a hazy warm weather with light northeasterly wind. The mission is simply to move through the village as efficiently as possible, eliminating any resistance and obviously maintaining our own forces. Our forces list consists of elements of Alpha Company, which includes 1st and 2nd Stryker Platoon, 74 men in total, on board 7 Strykers with various armaments. Additionally, we have 2 81mm mortars acting as support, which we can call in at any time. In terms of the enemy makeup, the briefing lists Syrian regulars in the area, but further intelligence indicates potential radicalised elements. Objectives are to get through the village and hit the touch point at the other end of the village, at the end of the M20 highway. Having a look at the map part of the briefing, we can see Alpha Company starting on the southern edge, with Abu Susah, the village, lying just to the north. Highway M20 runs parallel to our direction of travel, and there appears to be, at least on this map, some open ground to the east. There might be an opportunity there. Having a look at the force makeup, we have 2 platoons that make up Alpha Company. These are essentially the same, except that 1st platoon has an additional Stryker at their disposal. Each platoon consists of an HQ element, 3 soldiers armed with the standard M4A1, and of course they've got all the modern communication and sensor equipment that go with that. The individual squads consist of a 9-man team, generally armed with the M4A1, but with some additional weapons like the M203 grenade launcher attachment and the M249 saw, which gives the squad more capability out in the field. As for the Strykers themselves, we have the standard M1126 available, that will come in 2 flavors. We have the 50 cal option and the Mark 19 grenade launcher option. Just having a quick look here at the starting situation. There's Highway 102. So let's have a look at this map. This is Highway 102, runs parallel all the way through. This is the village. That's what we've got to navigate. First thing that's quite interesting is that the village sits in a bit of a defilade running across the map like that. This defilade means that as we approach from the south, we're going to be cresting ourselves along this ridge here. It also gives the enemy interesting positions where they can set up defense in depth along the village in various buildings. And as we crest, of course, we're exposing ourselves. What's also interesting is there's a few very good strong points, buildings that they can be fighting from. I think our initial strategy will be to get 1st platoon to move to the left flank here and try and secure themselves in that little compound there. 2nd platoon is going to do the opposite. They're going to move to this compound 1, and from there, depending on what we see and what happens, we'll keep transitioning to this compound here. We can call this compound A, compound B, compound C. Once we get to those points, we'll essentially have a bit of a phase line. This will be phase line 1 running parallel like that. From that phase line, we'll see what we find out and react accordingly. Like I said, I'm a little bit concerned about these 3 buildings here, here, and here. They're definitely strong points. If I was setting up the enemy position, that's where I'd be fighting from. Everybody's just moving out. You can see 2nd platoon heading towards the east there. That's the 1st compound for 2nd platoon.
Follow me, men!
This platoon, one of their squads, heading up to that compound to the west. No contacts picked up yet.
Follow me, advance!
Getting more squads out of those Strykers. First platoon have arrived at the first compound. Just getting stuck in there. HQ elements getting into the building. That didn't sound good. Wonder what happened there. Here we go. ATGM. One Stryker down. The other Stryker on the east side with platoon 2 has survived successfully. Hopefully it can just use the building in front of it as some cover. Bloody hesitant, to be honest, and I'm just going to move infantry up. Not even going to bother with moving the Strykers up yet.
Secure the flanks.
Second platoon on the east moving up to the next building. It's quite exposed, but they are just infantry. Hopefully they can get there in one piece.
Advance!
Spoke too early. Firing ATGMs at infantry in the open. Maybe not the greatest use of ammunition. But either way. And of course the Stryker retaliates by putting some fire down.
Good hit! Men.
Second platoon arriving at the next compound to the north. This is a good position to hold. Got some low walls and of course the building. Got some good windows facing north, which is great. First Stryker moving up to the west with first platoon. Nearly got an ATGM up the behind. But again, just parking down those buildings. The 5th cal looks like it's protruding over. That's one of the squads of 1st platoon coming under direct fire as they crest the hill there. Looking at our progress so far, platoon 1 has managed to secure that compound there. We've headed out with one of the squads there to see if we can get a better observation position. They've obviously come under fire from this recessed compound there. We'll see what we do about that. Platoon 2 has managed to secure the first compound and the second compound, and we've moved most of our squads. Well, 2 of the squads are in there. The 3rd squad is there at the moment. We've also kept back on the Strykers because we've lost already 1, and we definitely don't want to keep moving them forward. They're obviously too exposed as they cross this ridge here. We do have the Stryker over there. That one is coming under heavy fire, but it's using the buildings as a defensive a wall, essentially. As anticipated, the enemy have got a whole lot of anti-tank guided missiles. They have been in at least these 2 buildings, as we thought. That leaves us very exposed with the Strykers. We might just use the infantry to keep punching forward as best we can. We do have a Stryker at each of the platoons' positions at the compounds. That gives each of them a bit more firepower. First platoon, the first place pinned down. There's obviously some energy fire coming from that little building up ahead. Looks to be a PKM. They're putting as much fire as they can. First platoon down on him. On the eastern flank, the platoon is picked up some infantry there on the right, some foxholes. The Strykers in the rear are not completely useless. They are actually assisting where they can. First platoon pretty pinned down there.
Enemy infantry sighted.
Popping some smoke just to cover from that exposed position. On the eastern flank. They're taking some pot shots with those ATGMs, but I think everybody's in good cover. Keep pushing forward. Getting the eastern flank more and more secure as we move more and more squads in there. One in the building, one in the front. HQ moving up. Just keep easing forward. And on the western side, we have first platoon slowly edging some Strykers forward. We now have 2 on that flank. That one's got a Mark 19. Yes, it does. And shooting out ahead there at the sniper. Dodging ATGMs as we go. Maybe not the greatest strategy. Definitely been held up a bit. We have struggled to move first platoon forward from that location and second platoon forward from this location. We have managed to get a bit more visuals on various enemy positions. There now happens to be more than just an ATGM in that building. There's obviously a sniper. We've got what appears to be the HQ tucked back behind that field there. I still anticipate a bit of resistance from that building, and that ATGM is as tough as nails and not budging. Second platoon keeps moving forward, reaching the next compound.
Shot, over. Shot, over. Shot, out.
Still a few random ATGMs flying around. We've clearly killed some of the resistance there. We have made some risky movements here. We've managed to move one of the squads from second platoon forward, which means we have now secured in depth these 3 positions. First platoon is still stuck here, although it seems that we have essentially eliminated most of resistance in that building up ahead there, and so they've managed to secure a little bit of a firing line on that position. I'm still holding back on the Strykers.
Shot, out. Shot, out.
First platoon keeps moving up, trying to edge closer.
Flash, over.
Second platoon, Stryker with the Mark 19, putting down fire just to make sure that we keep the heads down on the other side.
Flash. Shot, out.
And as we start edging the Strykers slowly forward,
Flash.
south, the mortars start falling.
Fire for effect, out. Roger, fire for effect.
infantry and buildings will remain dug in, but at least we can hope to put everything around it, get it all suppressed. This is where it gets interesting. Strykers have moved forward. We've moved 1st platoon forward, all elements, keeping HQ back just to observe. Same on 2nd platoon side. We've got the HQ observing. And you can see we're now moving forward from phase line alpha and trying to form all the elements on this ridge. This is not the safest strategy, but we do have a lot of firepower at our disposal, and we're hoping that that takes care, including the amount of eyes on this defilade here. Anything that pops up. This ATGM is still a bit of a worry. Just keep everybody back and let the mortars do their thing. Now that that barrage is over, we just charge forward with all the Strykers. We've got the infantry ahead. They should provide cover, and the Strykers will bring their fire support as needs be. Anything that pokes his head out gets immediate fire. I suppose this is slightly risky. There could be some ATGMs hidden beyond there. And I was right. There we go. One ATGM right out of the corner, straight into that Stryker. There's 2 Strykers down. Good forward progress. This platoon has managed to move all the way from that compound there, and they've basically reached this building here. So they are fully secure on the left flank there. 2nd platoon slowly moving elements forward. This squad here got into the ditch there, moved forward. That of course gives you good protection from left and right. And 2nd platoon in general, just again forming their own firing line. So we've got good positions to provide a lot of fire. There is enemy activity. I don't know what that is, not really that concerning. I think we've eliminated most out of these 3 buildings. The town is still a bit built up, and that is a bit of a worry. I'm just creeping slowly forward. We've crested that first ridge and are now looking down into the village in the valley. Good position to be in, except being a bit exposed. Anything that pokes its head out is immediately eliminated. Second squad creeping down that ditch towards town. It's quite a good position. It allows them to get cover from the left and right flank. It also reduces their visibility, unfortunately. Second platoon, 1 squad trying to punch forward on its own. Not always the latest. Could have provided a lot more support from the 2 men. There's 2 there. They do get inside. Immediately deal with the enemy. ATGMs just seem to be popping up around every corner. That's the AT-3 Saga, and it's definitely loaded. But it's a terrible shot. Falls short. We're pushing forward. We haven't had any additional kills from ATGMs. There's one right in the rear of the map. First platoon. As they move up on the right, sorry, on the left flank. Just making sure they keep everything's head down. Moving the whole line forward. Great advancing in the open. Losing a guy here and there. But putting down as much fire as we take. As we enter the village, we can start seeing there's not too much resistance actually, which is interesting. I'm not fully convinced that these buildings don't have anything in them, but we'll have to wait and see as we edge forward. We have managed to move and secure a line very close to the village, and one of the squads from 2nd Platoon has taken that building without too much resistance. Now we're getting really close, and a lot of people are quite exposed. 1st Platoon and 2nd Platoon have officially made it into the village, and so main objective now is to try and get to the highest floors. That way we'll have the cover that provides, but we'll also get the visual. Good spotting. Right flank. There's one building remaining there, and there just seems to be a lot of guys hammering it with that Mark 19. It's just, there's a machine gun in there, there's a sniper in there, ATGMs, all sorts of things. Main mosque in town, greatest observation point. Just systematically moving up, there was not much resistance in the main village. This building is now clear, and we have taken control of that building. Building on the right flank here is, we've been putting a lot of bullets into it. Hopefully that takes care of it. So of course we've now moved through the village central. So our next phase line is in this direction, and we now just have to keep slow BDI pinned on this, although we've definitely broken the enemy's back. Taking control of the village. I think there's a few dug-in positions just behind the walls there. Just slowly mopping up. This was the hardest part, just taking control of the village first. All the odd RPG 18 hidden here and there. This is right at the back of the map. Taking pot shots. Not very effective though. First platoon charging up the left flank. 2 squads and the Stryker. Still left in that building. It's eliminated quite quickly. Mopping up stragglers. moving through the town quickly now, just bringing everybody up. Lots of cover, ditches, buildings, foxholes. Building on the right, still holding out. Even manages to get some guys from second squad. Keep putting fire into it. Then as we're nearing the India, there's still the odd sniper. That's someone hit from second squad.
Enemy infantry spotted.
Just reviewing the final result from the battle. We've obviously secured this line. That's all great. We've taken that position. The only enemy forces remaining was a few stragglers here and a few stragglers there, sniper unit, and of course this building on the right flank, which has been a bit of a pain in the arse in the late game. There's still some medium machine gun or something like that held up in there. Interesting to note that this map had a whole lot of landmines. Don't recall how many of those we drove into actually. We'll have to keep an eye on that next time. Now reviewing the after action report. We've managed to secure all our objectives. I don't think we actually moved a unit into the touch space right at the end of Highway 102, but we did obviously kill so many of the enemy that was classed as a success. It's a total victory. We had 5 men killed. They had 23 men killed. Not too bad, I'd say.